Welcome back to Rudy's 1/6 World for episode 20 of our new figure showcase, where I'll be doing a quick review / posing session with the newest edition of my collection. And today, we're going to keep going with the Gangsters Kingdom line and look at another new purchase on my end. And that selection is a side story character, and it's the 2015 convention exclusive of Reyes. So as most of you may know by now, this is an original line from Damtoys, where they take famous personalities and create hyper-stylized, almost caricature-like portraits of them, and then they create a figure and backstory and stick them into the ongoing Gangsters Kingdom narrative. Now, like with the Saxon figure I reviewed, Reyes is a side story character, meaning he is not a member of any of the four main gangs in the world, but his story does note that he has some affiliation with the Hart family and oversees drug operations for them in Mexico. As far as his backstory from the insert in the comic, basically Ogier and Nelson decide to raid Reyes' operation for Ogier to steal his money. And suffice to say, Reyes does not make it out of the encounter. So definitely a limited scope in the grand scheme of the ongoing narrative, but it's nice to get these secondary characters, at least I think so. So this is the 5th Gangsters Kingdom figure I'm reviewing, and it goes without saying that I love this line, and this is another great figure. Now, I do believe this was originally released in 2015 as a convention exclusive similar to Saxon, and I do like how the story continues to expand with each release, with us meeting additional characters or continuing the narrative of the characters that have already been released. And on occasion, I do like that they tease future potential figures, which gives us something to look forward to. And I will say each release does always surprise me with how they continue to improve on the previous figures. So let's take a look at the overall package here, and as with Saxon, these side story exclusive figures do tend to come with a little bit less in terms of accessories, or at least these early ones did. Here, besides the figure, you get a backdrop, which is the front cover for the box, and now in general, those backdrops are kind of an out-of-focus environment. We got the prison block with Saxon, and here it's a little hard to tell, but it looks like it might be an industrial plant. Guessing it's supposed to be where Reyes has based his operations out of. Besides that, you get a gun, a knife, a watch, and 4 additional hands. So decent overall for an exclusive. So now let's look at everything in a little more detail, and let's start with the Desert Eagle. And I've said this over and over, and I'll continue to say it. Damtoys kills it with their attention to detail when it comes to weapons. Looking at this, the first impressive bit is the text on the barrel and handle of the gun, which does include some references to Israel, which is where Desert Eagles are manufactured. So again, loving that detail and accuracy. As far as color schemes go, this is a nice silver with gold accents on the trigger, safety, hammer, and even the sights, which does add a little something unique. And then the handle includes textured black grips, so really looks amazing. And as with most of these 6-scale weapons, you can pull back on the slide and remove the gun's clip. And both really do show great continued detailing on the inner workings of the gun, and it's nice to see Damtoys not cheap out on the detailing of the clip itself, with some nice color apps and detailing as well. Next, he comes with a knife, and I think it's supposed to be a Bowie knife due to the sheer size of the blade. Blade on this one isn't as well detailed, to be honest, and I will note that they selected a softer plastic that made the knife's tip on my version bend a little bit, so it's slightly annoying that the knife isn't straight. It's a piece that would have greatly benefited from being actual metal, and I do think it's something that Damtoys has remedied in later releases. But here, it definitely is a slight negative. Also, I am surprised that they omitted the blood splatter, which is pretty standard on their bladed weapons so far, but that's just more of an observation than a negative or positive. Now, the blade's handle is really nicely detailed, and I'm no expert, but I think the handle is meant to replicate a deer stag horn, or a handle carved out of a deer stag horn. And it has a nice texture and paint application to it, so a nice piece, but definitely not near the best that have come in some of the other releases, or that I'd expect with those releases. Next up, he comes with a wristwatch, and again, pretty nice piece for something so small, with nice detailing on the band showing a mix of silver along the center and gold links along the edges, all with a sticker face, which works really well here for the scale. So nice detailing overall, and I do appreciate that effort for a piece that won't really be that evident once you place it on the figure. And finally, he comes with a number of interchangeable hands, including a pair of fists, and then alternate hands so he's able to hold the gun with both left and right hands, and similarly, he can hold a knife with both. And like with the rest of the releases here, these are really nice with solid paint apps and subtle variations along the knuckles and nails, also benefiting from that caricature style. Also, each hand has a tattooed phrase on it, which I think is really a highlight with these figures so far. This time each hand has a Spanish phrase on it, which makes perfect sense given the character's background. And roughly translated, the hands read, "We are too far from God," and conversely, "We are too close to the devil." So I guess the character is very self-aware of the position he's in. Now, let's take a look at the sculpt, and this is really where you start noticing some of these improvements. But before that, let's talk about who this is supposed to be. And it's based on actor Raymond Cruz, who I'm sure most people will recognize, as he's been in a ton of things, including Training Day, The Rock, Clear and Present Danger, Under Siege, Alien Resurrection, and so on. And he's great in those supporting roles. But this guy, this figure, is clearly based on his portrayal as Tuco Salamanca in Breaking Bad, which was a great show, as an aside. Now, as far as the sculpt work, again, looks amazing. There's a ton of subtle paint work here on the skin, including some freckling on his forehead, and they even recreated the teardrop tattoo under his right eye. And I think the first big improvement I noticed with this figure was the hair. Up until this point, the figures I've unboxed from the line, including Ogier, Nelson, Bernie, and Saxon, for them the hair had just been painted on with really good paint apps, and Bernie had some nice detailing at the front, but it's been fairly straightforward for them. Reyes is the first of the figure I've opened where Damtoys added a good amount of texture to the hair. Now, it's short hair like the other figures, so they could have easily just opted to continue doing the same, but Damtoys did choose to improve that, which I think is a big plus, and give us that extra work. And that also extends to his facial hair with the beard and the mustache, where we're getting really solid paint work and detailing. So portrait just looks incredible. Eyes, again, like with the other releases, just are amazingly lifelike and look impressive. And here, they definitely help the fact that the figures are coming with an expression. And Reyes is no different, coming with a scowl that's revealing his silver grill, and the teeth are again really well detailed. So kudos to Damtoys for the work they're doing here. Now, as far as the clothing, this figure is no different from the others in the line, and the detail work and tailoring is just unbelievably good. Fabric for his shirt is very soft, and the detail work with the silver to create all these intricate patterns, it just all really pops and looks amazing. Add that he has working snaps and buttons on the sleeves, and you just have to admire the attention to detail here. That even extends down to the fabric and wash of his jeans, which is really flexible, meaning it's not restrictive at all for posing. And of course, that level of detailing also extends down to his cowboy boots. And I mean, just look at these. The intricate pattern work here is pretty impressive. Damtoys really didn't cut corners, and the boots have amazing details and great paint application. And it's good to show kind of that wear and tear, and also allows each different element to pop so it doesn't look like just a piece of plain plastic, and I always appreciate that effort. Detail work on the shirt also extends down to the sleeves and his back, and the jeans just have more intricate detailing down the leg and in the back pockets that really stands out with the stitching. It would be really easy to just reuse the same clothing they've done before over and over, and look, they are doing that with the sunglasses, but at least for the clothing, they're giving each character its own distinctive feel. Now, the only thing here that is surprising when you compare him to other figures in the line, or at least early figures in the line, he's almost a full, direct recreation of Tuco from Breaking Bad. The clothing, the weapons, the facial hair, and the eye tattoo. Normally, it feels like with these figures we're getting a representation of a character. Here, it feels like we just got Tuco from Breaking Bad and not Reyes. Although I guess given that he's supposed to be a Mexican drug lord, copying Tuco from that show isn't the end of the world, and I guess it's a character that really would fit in with the narrative they're creating. Also, another really great touch here, if you look at his back, is he's got a nice tattoo at the back of his neck. Not sure if this is from the show or specific to the Gangsters Kingdom version of the character, but it looks great, showcasing two skeletal hands in prayer. Definitely feels like Reyes has some internal conflict with the life he's chosen, or I could just be reading too much into these figures, and they might have just thought it looked cool. So, as we take a look at some more poses here, including a recreation of his final stand from the comic, which is when he's facing Ogier and Nelson. The truth is, let's touch base on the release, and the truth is I love him. Now, I have jumped into the line pretty late, and honestly, for the most part, a lot of these are very expensive on the secondary market. Some more than others, but Reyes, even as a convention exclusive, is pretty affordable. So I was able to pick him up at a reasonable cost, and I think that alone probably impacted my positive reception of him, where I can accept the lack of accessories and relatively bare bones nature of the release. I'm also a big sucker for diorama pieces, and some of the releases in the series like Benson Angelo and the King of Clubs have included some beautiful diorama accessories that allow the figure to sit and really tell a story. Now I know they take a lot of real estate, but they look so good with all those display pieces that I'm personally gonna try to get those get a case just for this line so that each one of these can stand out. I do feel like Tuco could have benefited from something similar. I mean, if you've watched Breaking Bad or even that recut ending of Avengers Endgame where Tuco snorts the Infinity Stones, I think you could have easily given him a table and a chair to sit at. I don't think it's a critical element, but would make for some really nice display options. For Saxon, I'm definitely getting the interrogation setup. Not so sure for Reyes yet. He could use a table, but not sure that I've landed on a display option for him yet. So again, super happy to have this one, but doesn't dethrone Nelson as my current favorite in the line so far. I also do have the Four of Spades on its way, which would have been the next regular release of the line after Bernie, so we'll see how that one looks. And I have been trying to unbox these in the order they were released, partly because I do want to follow along with the story. But let me know if there are any of these you'd be interested in having me review ahead of the others, and I'll try to accommodate. So final thoughts on this, again, love the figure, and it's another solid addition to the collection and continues the impressive streak Damtoys has going for it. And my one regret about the line is that it's just not more popular. You really don't feel much buzz around these releases like you do for some of the other properties on the market, but at the same time it does make these feel a little bit more limited and kind of, you know, like you're part of a very small market that really likes them. But that's it. That was a quick look at Reyes from the Damtoys Gangsters Kingdom line. Let me know your thoughts on this figure or the line, and as always, thank you for watching with me. And if you are enjoying these reviews and some of my other content, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll touch base on the next video.